I'm Noah Kalk,
And I'm Sammy.
and we're with the Bobcat Exchange.
And this is a podcast run by students for students, giving you the details on Texas State University sports. And let's go ahead with Noah on our first topic.
Yeah, this past weekend we actually had a lot of things happening in a lot of our sports. It was actually one of our, it was probably the last weekend of our crossover sports where we had basketball, softball, and baseball all doing the same thing, competing at the same time. To start off, we had our women's basketball team. They actually had a pretty good run in the postseason Sun Belt tournament. The women's basketball team ended up beating every team in the tournament up until the championship, where they lost 51 to 81 against JMU. And because they lost in the Sun Belt tournament, they will not be making the NCAA round of 64 to compete for the national championship. But because they were Sun Belt champions in the regular season, they qualified for the National Invitational Tournament, which is you could say a lower quality tournament for college teams, but for a mid-major team, I don't think this is a lack of accomplishment. I think that to win the NIT tournament and to get to compete at the NIT tournament is still a really cool thing. So yeah, excited about what the girls will do moving forward in the postseason. Not only that, but we also had our men's basketball team had a pretty good run in the Sun Belt tournament.
Yeah, they did. They won against Georgia State in their first game of the championships, 81 to 76, and then turned out another 2 wins against Old Dominion and Marshall, but then they came up short on their final game against Louisiana Raging Cajuns. They made a 58-64.
Yeah, Sammy, one thing I found really cool about that series is Old Dominion and Marshall were both teams that they had gotten beat pretty bad by during the regular season. If I can remember correctly, the Old Dominion versus Texas State game might have been a little tighter. I think Old Dominion barely beat Texas State, but Marshall is a fantastic basketball team that we ended up overcoming. A team that has, like, in my opinion, 3 amazing shooters from outside. Tavion Kinsey, he's an NBA prospect. He's a big man on the inside. He can score pretty much any way possible. So for Texas State coming home with a few of these wins, I know they lost in the tournament, but I think this is a still big win for Texas State men's basketball team.
Definitely. I mean, they weren't that far away.
No, it's truly sad. A bad way to lose the tournament, and actually in the game they lost to Louisiana Raging Cajuns. They were actually trailing the whole game. Louisiana got off to a hot start. I want to say they were probably beating them up 10 points almost the whole game up until the fourth quarter. Texas State really climbed back into the game, but still, had to face that loss at the end of the day and into the season. So really hard loss. Outside of that, a few players from that tournament that I think really stood out were players like Mason Harrell. In the game against Marshall, Mason Harrell actually made a play that I believe was the seventh number on the ESPN top 10 list for highlight plays. Mason Harrell made a huge play, made a big shot over a really tall dude. You got to look it up. It's pretty awesome. He also ended up becoming an all-tournament player of the Sun Belt. So, yeah, he did something. But, yeah, moving forward with Texas State sports, this weekend we also had baseball have a pretty, you could say, disappointing loss to UTSA, our buddies over down the road on I-35. We hate losing to UTSA. They talk a lot of crap. They're generally not the greatest of people, but I guess that's just my opinion. They were pretty rude to us on Twitter after the loss. I get it. We're rude to them whenever we beat them, so it is what it is. We ended up not only did the baseball team have a tough loss against UTSA, but the weekend before that we actually had a series loss. We lost 3-1 against Grand Canyon University. another great mid-major program. So yeah, it was a loss, but it was to a good team. So it is what it is. And outside of that, baseball has, in my opinion, just had a slow start this season. I know we have some powerhouse hitters. Just seeing the way we brought in 68 runs, the first series against Northwestern. I really don't see our team having a bad season. I'm thinking we're just having a slow start right now, and definitely an 11-2 loss against UTSA doesn't help us get going. And that's all I have for baseball.
So going right into softball, they had a 4-game win streak, and they're at 16-5 this season. Ricky Woodard and this softball team seem to already be rolling this year with top batting performers, being Sarah Trahan, Piper Randolph, and Hannah Earls.
Yeah, those girls are really been getting after it. Getting the game thing going with a 4-game win streak. I'm excited to see what happens with our softball team this year.
And next up, they've got a trip to Austin for the Bevo Classic. So they will play Alabama, Wisconsin over 3 days.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get a big win over UT. It's always nice.
That's Texas, Alabama, and Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think anytime we get a chance to play UT, it's special for those girls, especially with that little connection we have with
the I-35 rivalry.
That and I feel like we just have so many connections with UT and with our softball program, especially with Kat Osterman doing a lot of our play-by-play for softball. It's actually kind of funny. We've actually had quite a few softball players that have wanted to come play here at Texas State just because Kat Osterman, actually used to be a former coach and hangs out here quite often because she does play-by-play. So she's just a cool head to have around here in the softball community. Outside of that, I wanted to give a little bit of love for our track team. We had a Cedrica, sorry, I said that wrong. Cedricia win. She was named the 2023 Sunbelt Conference Women's Track Performer of the Year in the indoor season. I have not paid too much attention to track lately. I feel like they just unfairly don't get as much love. I know they don't get on the broadcast, so I feel like we just don't see as much of them. But I know we have a great track team. We have a bunch of great athletes from foreign countries that we've been inviting in, and I've heard we've just really been building that program, and it's something that I think deserves more attention. So really excited about Cedricia, excited about hearing more about track moving forward.
So coming up this weekend, tennis will open the Sunbelt Conference against James Madison on Friday, March 10th at 1 p.m. And then they will play Old Dominion on Sunday, March 12th at 10 a.m. at the Bobcat Tennis Complex. They are currently on a 3-match win streak at home, so y'all make sure to go support them this weekend before you head off to do your spring break activities. And lastly, mark your calendars for April 22nd for the 34th annual Bobcat Bonanza, hosted by the Texas State Bobcat Club.
I think that one of the cool things about this Bobcat Bonanza is just the fact that the Bobcat Club has been keeping it going for so long. The Bobcat Club is the principal fundraising arm of Texas State Intercollegiate Athletics Department. It's really just a way for alumni and people who want to support the athletics program to come in and find ways to send their money towards Texas State and support these athletes.
Absolutely. So if you decide that you want to go and support them at the Bonanza, it is going to be at the LBJ Student Center April 22nd at 6 p.m. And there's going to be entertainment. There'll be a live auction and dinner and drinks catered by Saltgrass. So make sure you buy your tickets and support our athletes. All right, guys. Well, that's all we have for today. I'm Sammy.
I'm Noah Kalk.
And this has been the Bobcat Exchange. We hope to see you on our next podcast.